The media, in every form, has an important and vital mediating role in creating public opinion. Both The Sun and the Daily Mail have been accused of fueling racial bias in the UK. This has gone on for multiple years, even decades. And in the footballing world, there's been multiple players that have been targeted. However, one rises to the top of non-stop attacks, and that player is Raheem Sterling. This involves the way they report on black footballers. Often when these tabloids are writing about black footballers, they typically follow a negative and stereotypical lens. This by no means is every publication. This by no means is every journalist. However, this has existed in the past, and this will be called out. In the past, the negative manner in which Raheem Sterling has been reported is not only unfair towards the player, but can help to perpetuate racism within society. So much so that back in December 2018, Raheem Sterling accused the same media of fueling racism after abuse. This came off the back of him being racially abused by Chelsea fans in a 2-0 defeat at Stamford Bridge. Raheem Sterling received bad press over the past few years before this. Many of these reasons is due to his lifestyle choices. Article back in May 2018, Raheem Sterling is a victim of vicious tabloid snobbery. This came off the back of Raheem Sterling having a gun tattoo on his leg. This may be critiqued in a personal perspective of, I personally wouldn't have a gun tattoo on me. You can have that opinion, that's completely fine. You may say that, I wouldn't have that on my body, I wouldn't do that. Okay, that's your opinion, that's fine. However, this led to much more greater accusations and consequences. The tattoo of the gun on his leg led to calls of him to be dropped from the 2018 World Cup squad. And to show some examples of the maniacs of this led to calls by advocates, one example being Lucy Corp, saying this tattoo is disgusting. Raheem should hang his head in shame. With the World Cup barely a couple of weeks away, there have been calls for him to be dropped from the England squad unless he has a tattoo removed, covered, or his leg chopped off. This all came from the Sun's exclusive, with a tagline at the front, Raheem shoots himself in foot. But what about if we go actually deeper into that? Well, what was actually in that newspaper on that day? Well, the full story continued on page 5, where another story covered the deaths of 2 teenage boys. And the article read, 2 more teenagers were killed over the weekend as Sterling revealed his controversial gun tattoo. This statement is insane. This attempted to portray Raheem Sterling in a negative way by insinuating that his tattoo is somewhat linked to the deaths that occurred that weekend, despite there being no indication that suggests that. By associating Sterling's tattoo with the deaths of 2 teenagers, the article implies that Sterling's gun can actually normalize violence in society. And you want to know the meaning behind why Sterling got the gun in the first place? The gun's on his right leg. He shoots with his right leg. He shoots the ball. That's his preferred foot. That's why it's on his right leg, because he shoots the ball. I can't make this any more clearer here, lads. The meaning behind it is not just the fact that he shoots with his right leg, which makes sense. A gunman is, of course, a term that's used a lot in football for footballers, that they're a gunman, that they shoot and they score goals. But there's also the meaning of the fact that his dad was literally shot. He died when he was 2 years old. A gun is representative of his reason to strive to become a better person. What this probably all leads to is the stereotype of black people in society. And it also got worse, where his statement that he put on his Instagram got worded incorrectly on Sky Sports News, where he said in the line, I would never touch a gun in my lifetime. It got changed to, I would never touch a gun again in my lifetime. They literally added to his statement. And it got even worse when 2 days later the Sun came out with another headline titled, Damiola Dad Say Sorry for Gun Tattoo. using another murder of a 10-year-old to attack Raheem Sterling tattoo. The attempt of trying to link the tattoo of Raheem Sterling to two awful murders that happened in London on that same week, which by the way didn't involve a gun, they were both stabbings, unfortunately. It's insane. Now, okay, maybe these people don't like it when a footballer gets a gun or any weapon tattooed onto them. Let's say a knife, the actual weapon that was used for those two teenagers that were murdered. Okay, well, let's go through them. Is there a player in the England squad that has a tattoo of a weapon? Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford, of course, part of the England squad for multiple years now, has a tattoo of a knife on his left arm. Yet, not from anywhere that I can see on any tabloid newspapers or journalists, has not received any scrutiny for this. What about just footballers? Let's say in the Premier League. Well, at that time period, Alberto Moreno at Liverpool, a big club, has a tattoo of a monkey with a gun. Again, nothing really came out of this. If anything, it was kind of joked about in the media. A journalist in Mail Online wrote a piece about this involving Moreno's tattoo. Quote, "Moreno will be hoping his new piece of body art continues to be a good omen ahead of Thursday night's crucial European tie with Dortmund." Okay, so he gets a tattoo of a monkey with a gun, seen as a good omen. Raheem Sterling has a picture of just a gun on his leg, and that's associated with the murders of two teenagers. The Sun, most particularly, has a trend of vilifying Raheem Sterling, embracing the racial stereotype of how black people is associated with crime. Let's go to another example of this. Prem Rat of the Caribbean. Back in 2017, the Sun newspaper labelled a headline with Raheem Sterling labelled Prem Rat of the Caribbean. Well, that seems really harsh. He must have done something really bad to warrant such a damning headline in a national newspaper. I don't need to tell you that the term rat is in itself a very derogatory word, commonly used to insult someone who is unfaithful and dishonest or dirty. Rats were known to carry the plagues in the past. This is not the only time Raheem Sterling. Back in 2018, by the newspaper The Sun, had another article labelled Love Rat Raheem Sterling proposes to long-suffering girlfriend Paige Million. The term love rat again insinuates that Sterling is again disloyal to his partners. And in that article, there were several lines near the end of it that take shots towards Raheem Sterling at his own personal life. The article took note of Sterling's child from a past relationship, highlighting past use of Raheem Sterling taking nitrous oxide, which has got no relevance into a story about his love life. By the way, why would his love life need to be put in a paper in the first place? The actual article, initially the Prem Rat of the Caribbean, came over Raheem left his partner for other women. Like, he didn't cheat on her, they just split up. And this led to a headline of Prem Rat of the Caribbean. And to go back onto the 2018 article, Love Rat Raheem Sterling proposes a long-suffering girlfriend Paige Million. Look, in what should be a good story, Raheem Sterling proposes to his girlfriend. It then led to going into his child of his ex-partner and him taking nitrous oxide and his relationship to another woman altogether. What should be a normal story about a man proposing to his partner leads to all the negative parts of his past. And even when it comes to little things, like little things that shouldn't matter, or what about things that he literally cannot win? So the term of footballers, and this may not just be for just Sterling, this has happened to other footballers, but it adds up to this same narrative. Raheem Sterling has had countless character assassinations before in the past, which some are bizarre. One example is he's either too tight with his money because there was his headline, this was a headline. Sterling saves the pounds. Raheem Sterling picks up bargains at Primark with girlfriend Paige Million despite his £180,000 a week wages. They then went into his actual purchases, which is mad, with, quote, the former Liverpool hero, 23, is now the owner of a £2 t-shirt, £14 hoodie and a £16 pair of jogging bottoms. And how about back in 2017, with a headline from the Daily Star, I can't believe this, with a headline, £44 million bargain-loving Raheem Sterling's taste for Greggs. He loves pasties, with the header being footballer Raheem Sterling has just paid £3.1 million for a house, but still eats at Greggs. In that same article, they highlighted that he makes £200,000 a week. He just paid £3.1 million for a house. He was driving a £500,000 limited edition Bentley. They then give details of his home. Quote, the 5-acre pile with its own pond is in a village near Crewe. They're nearly doxing him, including with his girlfriend Paige Million and their newborn son Tiago. They're now going into his family. The 5-bedroom, 7,500 square root property is flanked by farms and boasts its own paddock. There is also a 1 extra bed apartment over a triple garage on the site of a bungalow. All of this is put in an article about him going to Greggs. How about another example by the Daily Mail back in 2016? Manchester City star Raheem Sterling earns £200,000 a week, but takes £80 EasyJet flight back from holiday. Again, goes into his $49 million fee with Man City, how much money he makes, his girlfriend, the fact that he was just injured, flight fee, £80 from a flight from Malaga to Manchester on October the 10th, images of him on that said flight. Okay, I understand. So it's a rarity for a professional footballer earning a lot of money to be going and doing normal people things, like shopping at Primark, like having a Greggs, and going on a normal flight like EasyJet or Ryanair. That's a problem. That's newsworthy. What happens if he doesn't do those things and do the typical footballer things, like, let's say, private jets or cars? Well, that's an issue too. For example, The Sun on the headline of 2018, Man City star Raheem Sterling hires private jet and heads for 2 holidays in week before joining up with England World Cup squad. They then went into everyone that went on the flight, naming his friends, and also going into how much it cost for his hotel. The group stayed at the exclusive Destino Hotel, where suites can cost up to £751 a night. All about how much money he spends in his cars. 2018, Raheem Sterling's cars. Man City winger drives flashy motors worth over £1 million during his short career. The Premier League star rides in a fleet of cars with a price range of starting from £12,000 and going all the way to £500,000. What £180,000 a week can get you. In this article, they went into every single car that he's arrived to City's training ground or been found driving. So if he does normal people things, it's weird. However, if he spends his money like most footballers, again, that must be highlighted as well. The point I'm getting at here is that he can't win no matter what he does. If he does normal people things, it's a headline, and if he does footballer things like every footballer, it's a headline. In 2014, by The Sun, an article came out about Raheem Sterling being tired. Headline, tired Raheem Sterling at 3 a.m. Three Lions party. A footballer goes out clubbing at 19. I for one, am shocked. Do I need to keep going? Of course I do. Daily Mail back in 2016. That's a lot of sterling. £180,000 a week. England flop. Raheem shows off blinging house he bought for his mum, complete with jewel-encrusted bathroom, hours after flying home in disgrace from Euro 2016. Right, so 2016, this came off the back after Iceland beat England in the European Championships. Now, this is an interesting headline because this led to some confusion. This was done by the Daily Mail back in 2016 about Raheem Sterling. Well, how about the Daily Mail back in 2018? With the headline, Manchester City starlet Phil Foden buys new £2 million home for his mum. Let's look at the bullet points here, just for one comparison. Footballer Raheem Sterling was criticised after his Euro 2016 performance. Hours after landing in Britain, he gave his friends a tour of a garish mansion. Video captures the £49 million star showing off a cinema and supercars, and he also showcases a crystal-encrusted sink in the silver bathroom. Compare this to when Phil Foden also bought a house for his parents. Bullet point, Phil Foden has set up a future in Manchester by buying his family a new home. The teenage midfielder's parents were involved in choosing the house. He is determined to keep the close-knit family together despite on-field success. You see the issue here? You see? Now I get it. You may say, okay, look, maybe it was just after the Euros, and maybe the people that did this back in 2016 are not the same people as back in 2018. Okay. But how do you explain this? By the Daily Mail, at the same time. Young Manchester City footballer, 20, on £25,000 a week, splashes out on mansion on market for $2.25 million despite having never started a Premier League match. Same publication, same year, same club, almost same price of the house. But yeah, how dare you buy your parents a house? How dare you? By the way, there's still so much more. But for example, let's say when an English footballer who is white gets in some bother in the news, and you'd imagine would cause some controversy. I remember back in 2020, a certain Harry Maguire had a massive issue in Greece, was actually arrested by the police in Mykonos for causing some trouble. Headline by the Daily Mail: Harry Maguire is everything Manchester United wanted in a captain, so his arrest in Mykonos has come as a huge shock. Daily Mail. What about the Sun? Of that same article put in a newspaper with the headline, England failure steps off plane as insults fans by showing off his house. Obscene Raheem being the headline. How about when Harry Maguire was found to be attacking police officers on holiday? Headline by the Sun: Harry Maguire was football's ultimate role model. Now Greece arrest leaves Manchester United and England with disciplinary dilemma. And going back to when he proposed to his partner, which should be a happy story, which they lay into his past, with the headline, Love rat Raheem Sterling proposes to long-suffering girlfriend. How about Harry Kane? When he proposed to his partner, she said yes. Harry Kane gets engaged to long-term girlfriend and mother of his child, Kate Goodland. Cool. That's fine. I mean, I'm happy for Harry Kane, by the way. He shouldn't be involved in this, but Christ almighty. I also want to highlight how insane this headline looks. 2018 Daily Mail: Raheem Sterling treats himself to a spot of breakfast after missing out on being crowned Young Player of the Year the night before the PFA Awards. He's having breakfast. And another article, you guessed it, it's The Sun, back in June 2016, with the headline, From Troubled Youth to £100,000 a Week, the life of footy idiot Raheem Sterling. Yes, they've literally got footy idiot Raheem Sterling as an article and is still there, active to this day. This highlighted how a teacher said that you would either end up in prison or playing for England, going into his quote-unquote absent father who would be shot dead on a Caribbean island, and there's still so many more. Now, of course, if you've noticed, most of these articles dated back to 2015, 16, 17, 18 and 19. There's been quite a lack of articles in this manner. Clearly as because this was called out by Raheem Sterling himself and by multiple people in the media. However, by no means should this ever be forgotten, and in my opinion, this still has played a massive factor in the public perception of Raheem Sterling. Even at his time over at Chelsea, I feel like he is heavily underrated and is just simply an afterthought in many people's views in terms of his impact at Manchester City and his actual view of being a footballer. His successful campaign back in Euro 2020 is for many people kind of forgotten because they already have these initial stereotypes and negative connotations that was just completely forced into them by the media on all platforms. The main positive is that since these years, fortunately due to people calling them out, there has been a severe lack of attacks and strange articles and headlines about Raheem Sterling. And that is one positive. However, that's not due to the people who runs these companies changing their opinion. That's by them being probably forced to. And I don't believe anything has really changed. The English media has failed Raheem Sterling. And that's the video. Enjoy your day.